It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the to the show that we're doing right now.
Following the local teams, breaking down the biggest games with in-depth analysis and team interviews.
There's going to be much higher expectations, sense of awareness of what we bring to the table.
Join the show by calling into 435-752-1069 or text 435-339-0321. It's the Full Court Press.
Throws, ends yes! Caught! Touchdown! They did it!
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome on into another edition of the Full Court Press. Eric Frandsen, Jason Walker. Shortened show today. Utah Jazz are in Detroit, so the 5 o'clock tip-off, which means 4:50 pregame with Utah Jazz Radio Network. So, much like yesterday, we'll try to cram as much as we can into the short time we have together. We will be talking about the Utah Jazz in this show, recapping their game last night, talking about another amazing performance by a former Aggie, and it this time came on the.
It's bittersweet.
Yes, yeah, that's
say
true.
that
the Jazz were the victims this time, but that's okay in my book. But we'll get into the Sam Merrill's night. Big news for Utah State basketball. They've got a game coming up tomorrow. And one of their key guys is not going to be available. How long will he be out? Probably a long time.
Yeah.
So we'll get into that. And then also we this kind of skipped underneath our noses for a little bit, but we recognized it today. The inaugural RPI rankings for high school basketball were released this week. So we'll get into the rankings throughout Region 11 for both boys and girls basketball. But, Jason, the biggest news of the day was revealed today, just a few moments ago, in the Spectrum, as you were up there talking to Coach Sprinkle, getting ready for the Aggie basketball game tomorrow night.
Yeah, we were previewing and we were talking, and I had noticed that Max Agbonkpolo was not practicing, and so I asked Coach about it, and he said that he's likely going to be done for the rest of the season. It's something he's been trying to play through, but just likely not going to be able to finish the season at this point.
He's probably done for the year. Yeah, unfortunately, he's probably going to have. In fact, I know he's going to have surgery.
They are going to do that.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's kind of a bummer. It's just one of those, like people probably thought I wasn't telling the truth, but it was just a touch and go deal where, he was taking some pain pills and things like that and getting through the game, but it just got to the point where he couldn't do it.
So there wasn't anything that happened against San Francisco?
No. It would kind of flare up, a lot, and after the San Francisco game, it was pretty tender, and when they did the X-rays, there's a little fracture in there, so they got to go clean it up. Yeah, which is disappointing because he was, before he came back against Bradley, he hadn't done anything for 7 weeks, nothing. So really, he just played 5 weeks, just played, never even really got into shape, he just started playing. And then you guys saw there were some practices where, he's on the bike and, instead of getting live game reps. And so, I appreciate him, fighting through, those, whatever it was, 8-10 games that he did play in. But it just got to the point where, does it hurt our team? Yeah, but it's one of those, I got to look out for him too. And it was the best thing for him.
Yeah, just an unfortunate situation for him. This has been a foot injury that has been bothering Agponkpolo since preseason. I think it even ties back to maybe an injury he had when he was at USC, if I remember some comments from Danny Sprinkle earlier in the year. But just something he's been dealing with, and just kind of re-aggravating it at some point. To where I think mentioned there's now a small fracture in his foot again, so gonna need surgery. Likely done for the year. I believe there's a chance he can get a medical red shirt. I mean, he's already sitting on his 6th year in college basketball, so theoretically maybe he could play a 7th. We'll see.
Really?
He may
you don't
try.
Think he's played enough games.
Yeah, I think he's like right on the edge. Because I believe it's somewhere around like a third of the games.
Mm.
And the Aggies are going to play 34, 35, and he's been in, I think, 8 or 9 of the games. So I guess there's a chance, but he may not even want to come back. Like, this is a thing that's going to, this is a potential career-ending type of situation where it's just, is it worth it to try and come back? This has been something that's been bothering him for a while. Is it worth it for him to come back at all? We'll find out. That's a decision for him to make, and it depends on how this all heals. But for now, and for the Aggies, it's a massive blow. I know this is a guy who hasn't shot particularly well from 3, and I know there's been some complaints about that, but in like literally everything else, he's been a fantastic player. Defensively, he's right up there with Darius Brown and Ian Martinez. You can argue he's the most important defender on the team with how versatile he is and the fact that he was going to be a key guy in guarding players down the road like San Diego State. Is it Jaden Ledee, Tyson Degenhart, the Colorado State, I think is Joel Scott, like the transfer that they brought in who's having a good year. Like, those are all forwards that Agbonkpolo would probably have ended up having a big role in guarding. And then obviously the versatility when he was in to potentially guard some of the perimeter guys of a lot of these teams as well. So had been and was going to keep playing a big role defensively for this team, but obviously his foot injury is just not going to let him do that. And as coach said, he's got to look after number one. He's got to look after his own health, and he's going to be doing that.
Agbonkpolo on the season averaging about 5.5 points per game, just under 4 rebounds a game, just under an assist, a full steal on average. But it's not necessarily his scoring and rebounding that'll be missed. It's his versatility on the floor and his defense. So that's a blow to this Utah State basketball team, which has been doing great and defying a lot of expectations. Now they've got a game tomorrow, East Tennessee State. They should still be able to take care of them. But then right around the corner, it's Mountain West Conference play. So this team doesn't have a lot of time to figure out life beyond Max Agbonkpolo.
Yeah, they're going to have to turn to guys like Carson Templin and Nigel Burris. Those are probably going to be your 2 guys to potentially fill in some of those wing minutes, but they're not necessarily just going to turn and say, all right, who's the backup, or I guess the third string power forward technically. Because the weird thing is that Agbonkpolo wasn't necessarily just like, he's not like the backup forward. He was a guy who was able to play 3, 4, even the 5 at times. He was technically the center on the court at times. So those minutes are going to be divided up among several different players. You're probably going to you're going to see some from Carson Templin. The Aggies are probably going to go with 4 guard lineups. I believe Danny Sprinkle talked about that. You can bring it up tomorrow. Later in the audio, he talked about how they're going to have to adjust. He talked about next man up, but then, again, adjusting what lineups they can throw out there. Which, again, that was something that Agbonkpolo brought to the team, is he allowed for some very versatile lineups that had both length and perimeter defense. Length inside, perimeter defense outside. The Aggies aren't going to have that luxury quite as much without him. They're going to have to play smaller lineups or slower lineups. So we'll just see. It's not an insurmountable thing. This isn't the sky falling. Like I said, this is one of your backup forwards. Key in the rotation, but this isn't losing Great Osborne or Darius Brown, type situation. This is a challenge that the Aggies will have to face. I mean, Danny Sprinkles talked about this team going to have to face adversity. This will be some adversity. Who's going to step up and replace a guy who brought a very valuable skill to the team? Can Carson Templin come in and play good defense? Can Nigel Burris make a comeback into the rotation, bring both his shooting and maybe some of his own potential versatile defense? He's like a 6'7" wing.
Yeah,
could maybe he bring some of that? But we'll find out exactly how things go. We'll get a first look at the Aggies without Agbonkpolo as they take on East Tennessee State. But obviously the important tests will be coming late December, early January as they begin the Mountain West schedule.
Yeah, really early January. They don't really have a game.
I thought they had a game like the last couple of days of December, and that was their thing. Wasn't that the game against Air Force?
I thought that was on the 2nd.
I know usually it's not until January
No, they've
they
got
play.
a break. Yeah, their next game after Friday isn't until January 2nd.
Oh, they don't play any game in late December?
Correct.
Oh, funny. Maybe that was last year's team. Thought I remember seeing the schedule and there was like the first game of Mountain West like late December, but you're right, is January 2nd against Air Force. Which will be a tough game at Air Force. That's always a weirdly tough game for the Aggies, despite the fact that Air Force has not been a particularly great team usually. They were a lot better last year. But just something about at Air Force.
Yeah, it's a weird venue, and they always seem to struggle a little bit there.
Yeah, but then a massive test at home against Colorado State, arguably the best team in the conference. I think many would argue is the best team in the conference right now.
Yes. Yeah. No easing into it really.
Yeah.
There. So yeah, big news today out of Utah State men's basketball program with Max Agbonkpolo requiring surgery on his foot. He's been tried to play through the pain, and they've tried to manage it, but as they've looked at it, it is broken. It's not just discomfort, it's broken. And so surgery is going to be required, and he's going to be out for the rest of the year. So Utah State men's basketball will have to figure out different players filling into the role that he played, and how well do they fill that opportunity. So that will be interesting. What if there's any silver lining here is that they do have that big gap. So they've got the game tomorrow, and then they're going to have a full week plus in the gym to work out rotations with some of these other guys, Carson Templin, Nigel Burris, into these rotations to see how they mesh together before they face Air Force on January 2nd.
Yeah, and I think the two key players to replace Agbonkpolo really are just going to be, they're going to absorb his minutes. Probably Carson Temple and Josh Aduje. And you're just going to, Templin will play lineups where they want to be bigger. Aduje will, it's not ideal for him to be playing the four, but four-guard lineups are a thing that you see a lot in high school. College basketball. You do see it in high school basketball a lot. But I think you're largely, we'll see if Nigel Burris can jump in. It seems like he just kind of got lost out there. Like, wasn't playing as well defensively as I think Sprinkle wanted, and just, I don't know, he needs to catch up. But of course, Burris is only a sophomore.
Yeah, he's young.
There's time for him to learn and get into this rotation and learn, get tougher and be the kind of player that Danny Sprinkle wants him to be, to bring, Burris's very valuable shooting to the table. But I think you're just going to see Aduje and Templin just absorb those minutes with their own respective styles. Aduje playing when they need small ball, Templin playing when they need larger, and just go with that. You might see Sacco come in a little bit more. I think, of course, he's already kind of earned more minutes.
Yeah.
Where they really like his defense. But Sacco isn't really a replacement for Agbonkpolo just because they're radically different position styles.
Yeah, true.
So for now, I don't know if the rotation is going to expand. It's just going to be a couple of guys that absorb some of those minutes.
Yeah, because he was averaging about 23, 24 minutes a game, Agbonkpolo was. So you think that some of these, Aduje is kind of similar on the floor. Templin is certainly shown ability in flashes, and so he may get a little bit more time. Sacco, those are guys who are already in the rotation and already seeing time on the court.
Yeah, Templin is the kind of guy who could see more of like the just raw minutes increase, because Aduje is averaging like 23 minutes a game. You're not going to see him go like way higher in terms of minutes. Templin is averaging like 9, and he's been a DNP CD in a couple of games where he just sat the whole game. So I don't know if there's going to be another game where Templin doesn't play, at least at some point, unless it's just such a small ball team that they're facing where they're just going to play Aduje more. Because the thing is, Aduje represents the minutes and area of the rotation where Agbonkpolo would be the small forward, and that's where the minutes where Agbonkpolo was playing small forward, you give those to Aduje. The minutes where he was playing the 4 or the 5, you give those to Carson Templin or perhaps to Khalifa Sacco. But again, that's kind of weird because the times where Agbonkpolo was playing the 5, they were trying to play super small ball, and I don't know if Sacco's quite going to fill that gap of being a small ball center. He's just a center.
Yeah.
Or I shouldn't say just a center. He just is he's a bigger center.
Yeah.
It's just not this. That's why I say it's not the same archetype of player. So it's just trying to divide the minutes among a bunch of different players. My preferred situation would be for Nigel Burris to find a way to jump into the rotation, just because I really liked him preseason. I liked what he could potentially bring to this team. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
And this team does need better outside shooting, and that's something that he could help with.
Yeah, he could. And he was weirdly having actually a really bad season shooting-wise as far as what he did in the few games he played, because he's 0 for 8 on the season, which is just weird. And I guess maybe is kind of a representation of like the entire team where you have a bunch of good shooters. Ian Martinez, I think he was a decent shooter at Maryland, where I think he was at least above average. Now, he shot like 40% last season on relatively low volume, just under 2 attempts per game, but this year, Ian Martinez at 31%. I mean, Darius Brown's even down from his near 40% to, just over 38%. Excuse me. Javon Jackson, he's the guy who shot in the high 30s from 3. He's at 27%. And yeah, Nigel Burris, the guy who shot like 45% from 3, I think last season, is 0 for 8.
Yeah.
There's one guy defying the trend in a positive way, and that's Aduje, who was like a 30%. Maybe even a sub-30% shooter from 3 for his career, and he's at 40%. So somebody's bucking the trend in the right direction. Most everyone else is just not making shots that they normally do. So if Burris were to come in and if he were to reverse that trend, that would bring some valuable shooting, especially in place of a guy like Agbonkpolo, who is one of the more prolific, he took a lot of threes. Didn't make very many because he was shooting 16%. But again, that wasn't the primary skill he was bringing, so his value was elsewhere.
Aggies take on East Tennessee State tomorrow at 7 o'clock in the Spectrum. Al Lewis and his game day coverage will begin at 6. We'll hear more from Danny Sprinkle as he previews East Tennessee State tomorrow here on the show. But the big news, obviously, with Max Agbonkpolo's foot injury, taking him out of the rotation and requiring surgery. He'll be out for the rest of the year. Going to take a time out here in the Full Court Press. Reminder, a shortened show today with Utah Jazz taking on the Detroit Pistons later on this evening. And Jazz played last night and faced a former Aggie, Sam Merrill. And Merrill had a big game for himself, set a career high earlier in the week. How would he follow that up? We'll discuss next here on the Full Court Press.
Hi, this is Rusty Allen with LSS Insurance. Come learn all about Medicare and Social Security. The third Thursday, December 21st at 7 p.m. Call 752-9493 for details. It's never too early to plan for the future. Making an informed decision is key. We will answer all your questions and help you feel confident moving forward. Come the third Thursday, December 21st at 7 p.m. Call LSS at 752-9493 to RSVP. Walk-ins welcome.
When it comes to home care, it's important to know you have a choice. If you or a loved one is in need of hospice or home health services, remember that Primrose Home Care and Hospice believes in treating the patient as well as the problem. We work directly with you and your doctor to create a health plan that's catered to your needs. Our team is devoted to providing options in the freedom and safety of your own home. Visit us at primrosecare.com or call to schedule a free consultation. Primrose Home Care and Hospice, your local hospice and home health provider since 2006.
Not everyone has been in an accident, but everyone knows someone who has. If you or a loved one has been hurt in a car, truck, motorcycle, cycling, or pedestrian accident, call the Advocates today, now with offices in Cache Valley. The Advocates offer free consultations. Talk with an experienced attorney and let an advocate guide you through your case and take over the stress of phone calls with the insurance company so you can rest and get better. You didn't deserve to be in an accident, but you do deserve an advocate. Chat online at utahadvocates.com or call 801-355-5550.
Beezer Lock and Key specializes in securing your world with their expertise in locks, keys, and hardware. Every aspect of their services is meticulously tailored to ensure your safety. They offer a vast selection of hardware brands and access control options, along with custom master key systems. With Beezer Lock and Key, you have control of your facility's access 24/7. For 28 years, Beezer has provided top-notch security solutions that stand unmatched in the industry. Visit 4th North, 1st West, and Logan, or go to beezerlock.com to discover more.
Thank you for letting Cache Valley Valley Ear, Nose, and Throat, the Allergy Clinic, and the Hearing Aid Center take care of your family medical needs this year. Make sure you call now for an appointment before the end of the year to utilize your cafeteria funds. Located in Providence and the new Three Peaks Medical Plaza, North Logan. The entire staff, along with Dr. Benyon, Blotter, and Robinette, wish you a safe and wonderful holiday season. Go to CashValleyENT.com for details. Most insurance products, including Select Med, are accepted.
Christmas is almost here. Are you still looking for that perfect gift? If so, S.E. Needham Jewelers is the place for you. We have fine jewelry pieces starting at $29, sparkling diamond earrings starting at $149, diamond bands made of 14-karat gold at $249 with financing available. For gift ideas, take a look at our extensive watch and gift selection, or make it simple and stop in for a gift card in any valuation. There is still time to shop for the people and occasions that matter most. S.E. Needham Jewelers, middle of the block at the sign of the clock.
This is Nate Lamson with Valley Office Systems, your home team when local matters. Valley Office Systems is your local provider for all things office, copiers, printers, furniture, and document management. Proudly serving Cache Valley since 2007. Visit valleyofficesystems.com.
The Aggies, Jazz, high schools, even the Pee Wee's T-ball team. It's the Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, The Fan.
Left corner, Niang. Rainbows a three. Off the back of the rim, no good. Rebound, Isaac Okoro. Out front, Merrill. Three. Bang!
Should we do another one? Let's do another one from last night.
Porter, right of the lane. Behind his back to Thompson. Thompson, no look, Niang. Three ball off the back of the rim. Offensive rebound to Coro. Back to Sam. Three. Good! Sam Merrill shot that ball in a millisecond.
Big night for Sam Merrill last night for the Cleveland Cavaliers.
I think it's a little concerning that in both of those highlights mentioned offensive rebounds.
Yeah, and clanked threes by George Niang both times.
Yeah, those two that we play, those are two of the 8 3-pointers that Sam Merrill made in the game against the Utah Jazz. The Cavaliers winning 124-116. It's not like the Jazz played really that bad. I mean, they get, I believe it was 26 points out of Lauri Markkanen, 20 points out of Colin Sexton, who continues to play well. You even get a decently efficient night out of Taylor Horton-Tucker, who actually gets a double-double with 19 points, 11 assists, but just obviously not containing Sam Merrill, which I guess was not in the game plan. It's like, oh, that guy who used to play up in Logan, he's going to be in the game. I'm sure he'll hit a couple of threes and he'll be decent, but then all of a sudden you're watching him hit like 5 3-pointers, I think it was, in the first half. You have to go into halftime and be like, yeah, that guy, guard him, please.
It's on a heat check. He was 8 of 14, career high 27 points. He had a previous career high earlier in the week, hitting a bunch of threes, helping Cleveland, and had a great night last night. That Cleveland bench overall just way outperformed Utah's bench, and that was really part of the key.
Yeah, you got I think every one of the Cavaliers bench players were not only in the positive and plus minus, they were all in the double digits of positive. Sam Merrill plus 15, Karis LeVert plus 11, Niang plus 11, Tristan Thompson plus 12. And all of them were in double digit scoring too. So I guess what was a pretty short-handed Jazz team, which I think would be more short-handed tonight, but the short-handed Jazz team just didn't have enough depth to challenge the, I guess, surprising depth of the Cavaliers, because they're missing a bunch of key
short-handed
players
too.
They're missing like Evan Mobley and Darius Garland, and I think somebody else too. Those are the two big ones. But yeah, they're reaching deep into their own bench, but they're finding a lot more success deep in their bench than the Jazz are.
Yeah, Jazz play tonight. It's a back-to-back, so they're in Detroit, as we've mentioned. And we already knew that Jordan Clarkson would be out. Keontae George is still out because of left foot inflammation. Now Taylor Horton-Tucker is going to be out for left foot soreness. Lauri Markkanen is out for left hamstring injury maintenance. Omer Yurtseven is out because he's got an illness. So they've called up Johnny Juzang from the G League just because they just don't have enough bodies. You're going to see more Taylor Hendricks tonight, I'm sure. He didn't play last night, which is weird.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just, I think you might have mentioned it, just any game where, like, Markkanen, Kessler, Collins, and Olynyk, like, if they're all healthy, you're just not going to see Hendricks out there. Which is kind of weird because they're playing Simone Fontecchio tons of minutes. Like, who would you rather be getting minutes, Simone Fontecchio or Taylor Hendricks? And I get the comparison between those players is not exact. Simone Fontecchio is very much more of a small forward, even trending towards being a shooting guard. And Taylor Hendricks is a power forward who trends toward being a power forward center tweener, although he is pretty solidly athletic enough to play power forward. So there isn't tons of overlap, and I would imagine Fontecchio fits better in a front court of Markkanen and Kessler. But, like, maybe try it? Like, you were trying it with John Collins. That didn't work. They're now playing Collins as kind of a backup 5.
Yeah.
Which, that's something I actually really like that solution to the problem. Wish I would have thought of it. Of course, it wouldn't have mattered. And I guess there's a reason I didn't think of it is because I'm not smart enough to be an NBA coach.
Right. Yeah.
But, you know, try it. You drafted the kid at 9, and you had – did they have Collins at that point? I suddenly can't remember. I don't think they did have Collins at that point. Because the trade doesn't open until after the draft.
Right. Yep.
So, I mean, they brought in John Collins. Okay, you got him. It's like, I guess even before they brought in John Collins, thought as you drafted this power forward, you would eventually think to play him alongside Markkanen and Kessler. If you're not going to try him out in this lineup, then what are we doing? Like, I just don't get it. Playing Simone Fontecchio 35 minutes so that Taylor Hendricks can sit on the bench the entire time? Like, I'm just getting more and more frustrated with the way they're just not really giving Taylor Hendricks time to actually prove himself. Like, I get this whole development and over-dipped Oreos or whatever weird analogies that are getting thrown out there, but play the guy. And if he's not good enough, he's going to show it. He's not going to magically learn how to play NBA basketball by sitting on the bench and playing G League games.
Well, it helps in some level of fine-tuning his craft.
Fine-tuning what? His ability to sit on the bench without getting cramps?
Well, playing in the G League allows you a chance to fine-tune your craft.
Against what? Players who are shorter than him, less skilled than him, not as athletic as him? What is he learning?
How to run a play properly?
Okay.
Get a shot off quickly?
Against guys who are going to let him get his shot off and let him get to his spots. Either learn to play NBA ball or don't play in the NBA. And I'm exaggerating. There is real value to the G League. And you mentioned, being able to run plays. It's like doing a walkthrough. It's like, when college teams play Division II teams. There's value there where it's like practicing. This might sound incredibly insulting when I say like practicing on air, but it's practicing things when people do let you do that kind of stuff, where you can build that muscle memory. But you draft a guy 9th overall. You're not drafting a guy who you need to spend tons of time having him play in the G League. You're drafting him because he's supposed to be ready to play in the NBA from day one. And if he's not, it means he screwed up.
Well, it's certainly, I don't see how it can hurt the Jazz any much more as an organization to not play him at this point.
Yeah, and there's no reason. It's like, we don't want him to, obviously, if Hendricks plays, the team is worse. Because clearly he's not played a whole lot of games. He's going to make tons of mistakes. He's going to not know how to run the play. He's going to make a ton of dumb rookie mistakes in a lot of simple ways that obviously fans may not quite notice. But yeah, what's the Jazz's record at this point now? Were they 10-18, 10-19, whatever the record is?
10-18.
Like, what have you got to lose, guys? And there was somebody I'm in a group chat on Twitter where somebody did the legwork that I can only envy having the motivation to do the kind of legwork he did. But he went and found all the players, I think over the last 10, 15 years, I forget the exact time, but all the players who were lottery picks and spent at least some time in the G League as a rookie. And not a single one of them is an all-star. And a lot of them are just guys who became irrelevant. There are some good ones. There are a handful of good players. But just so many of them, like, if you're throwing them in the G League and they were a lottery pick, eventually it means you kind of screwed up.
Drafting more on potential than how they can help you right away.
Yeah, like look at some of the guys, again, a decent amount of these lottery picks can tend to survive, but, Shabazz Muhammad, Denzel Valentine, Earl Clark. There's some decent ones. CJ McCollum is actually in that group, so a decent player. Marcus Smart, actually, although I think they only played a handful of games. They played some of the fewest games in the G League. Guys who are spending a lot of times in the G League. Johnny Davis, Jerome Robinson, just a bunch of guys that sometimes you barely remember them. You only remember them because, like, oh yeah, it was that one guy who was drafted 7th overall, but then never became anything.
Never really saw him, and yeah.
So, like, for me, it's like, okay, if you have to send a guy to the G League, and with the Jazz's roster situation, it made some sense, but play the guy. Because if he's not ready to play now, you shouldn't have drafted him. I don't know. I keep repeating myself now, so I should just get off my soapbox while I still have our listeners' attention. They may have already tuned out at this point.
5860 on the Full Court Press text line earlier. Watching Sam Merrill drop 27 on the Jazz was fun. It was fun watching Sam. Yes, I'll admit that. Watching the Jazz play poorly was not that fun, but
I think
Nimish Keta, he had his double-double for Boston just the other night, and then Sam's doing what he's doing this week.
It's a good week for former Aggies. Obviously, Sam going for 19 the other night, 27 last night. You mentioned Keta getting a double-double at 10 points, 10 rebounds. I think he had 6 points, 8 rebounds last night. He played last night as well. So, yeah, some of these former Aggies are getting some room to run. And, well, what do you know?
Amazing what happens if you give them some room to run.
Yeah, these guys have actual legitimate NBA talent. Sam Merrill being, a fantastic shooter. Right now, as far as his, rate of three-pointers, he's one of the better shooters in the league, statistically wise. Obviously, I'm not going to put him up there with the best shooters, but he's taking a bunch of difficult threes, and he's making a bunch of them. Maybe he can find somewhere where he can feel like that J.J. Redick and just list any number of shooters where their job is to go out there, come off a screen, catch the ball, and shoot it.
Yeah.
And
Duncan Robinson.
Yeah, the guys that run around the court and they have a guy constantly chasing him around the court, hugging his hips, like, I'm not letting you get away.
Right.
But then they get away and they hit a three, and you're like, how did that happen?
Yeah. But Sam was showing that he doesn't need a lot of room.
No, he does. Like I said, you look at the J.J. Redicks, Duncan Robinsons, even Danny Greens. Like, you can find a lot of great teams, and they have one of these, just a random 6'4", 6'5" guy that'll just nail a three-pointer right in your eye. It's one of the archetypes that teams can find valuable. And Sam Merrill's like, hey, I'm one of those guys. It's going to get him paid by somebody if he keeps this
up. If he can be consistent, yeah. He's on a good tear right now. See if he can keep going and keep pouring it on.
Yeah,
there's opportunity there with guys hurt, guys out. He's got a role to play for them.
Yeah, I know the Cavs have wanted shooting. A lot of their stars are kind of iffy with three-point shooting. Evan Mobley hasn't developed as much of a shooter as I think they've wanted. And some of the others struggle a little bit. Obviously, they have Donovan Mitchell, but it's a team that needs shooting. If this is a guy who can come in and shoot like 40% from three on 3 or 4 or 5 attempts a game, coming off the bench, they'd love that. Provide spacing for their other stars who obviously dominate inside the paint.
So tonight, Utah takes on Detroit. Detroit just lost, 24 in a row?
It's a lot. They are a game or two away from, I think, the NBA record, which I think is 26. So I think it's 24 in a row. Tonight, I have a feeling the Jazz are going to lose to the Pistons. Like, I just got to be frank.
Yeah, me too. There's many guys out, and just the level of play right now.
It's a back-to-back, too. Road back-to-back road games. Tons of guys out. I mean, it is the Pistons. The Pistons are bad, but it feels like the kind of game that Cade Cunningham's going to go for 42. And some other random wing. I think is Jaden Ivey still on the Pistons? I can't remember. I can't keep track of Eastern Conference teams in their rosters, but I know they've drafted a couple of versatile wings up there, along with Cunningham. Obviously, he was like one of those. He was that tall point guard archetype that everyone fell in love with after Luka Doncic entered the league. He's playing well, but he plays for the Pistons. So
yeah,
it's slow going.
Kind
for
of
him.
muted. Yeah,
Jazz need to try and trade for him, but of course, Pistons aren't going to let the former number 1 overall pick go. But a man can dream.
All right, we need to take another time out here in the Full Court Press. But when we come back, high school hoops. There were quite a few games last night. Teams in action. Ridgeline girls basketball. They've been down in Las Vegas in the Tarkanian Classic. They played their way into the championship game this afternoon. I'll tell you who won that. And what the latest RPI ratings look like for high school basketball. That's coming up next here on the Full Court Press.
Ladies, many of you will be fortunate enough to find a small but beautifully wrapped package under your tree with a brown satin ribbon and a box imprinted Jerix. The man who put it there is trying desperately to tell you that you are more precious than diamonds, more valuable than gold, and very, very special. Men who come to Jerix believe their wives deserve the best. And whether they spend $49 or $4,900, the message is the same. Men who come to Jerix are still very much in love. We just thought you should know. Jerix Fine Jewelry, 930 North Main in Logan.
Don't get caught without power to your home or business. This is Tyler with Golden Spike Electric. We offer Generac backup generators to keep your home or business warm, avoiding frozen pipes, loss of valuable food, or even a flooded basement. Golden Spike Electric is certified and factory trained, so you know it will be installed right and properly maintained. Contact Golden Spike Electric so you'll never be without power again. Online at gsegenerators.com. We also service other brands, Golden Spike Electric and Generac. Power you can count on.
No matter how cold it is outside, you can count on a quality-built, super-efficient York furnace to keep you warm inside. York furnaces provide consistent comfort throughout your home. York furnaces are protected by the strongest warranties available. Call Advanced Heating and Air Conditioning, your local York dealer at 752-7272 to schedule a free evaluation of your system. Advanced Heating will help you save up to 50% in energy costs this season. Online at advancedheating-ac.com.
As the year comes to a close, all of us here at Aegis Healthcare want to express our heartfelt gratitude.
This holiday season, we reflect on the privilege of being part of your lives, offering care, support, and compassion when you needed it most.
To our amazing staff who work tirelessly to provide exceptional care, thank you.
To our colleagues, neighbors, and friends, we extend our warmest wishes for a joyous holiday season.
As we look forward to the new year, we're excited to continue serving with even more dedication and innovation.
From all of us at Aegis Healthcare,
we wish you a Merry Christmas and a joyful holiday season.
Hi, I'm Jay Broadbent with Alpine Home Medical. I'd like to invite you to learn more about us. Since 1997, we've been Utah's premier one-stop shop for home medical equipment. What sets us apart at Alpine Home Medical is the superior level of customer service. We provide home oxygen, CPAPs, wheelchairs, scooters, breast pumps, and so much more. Come on down and get to know us.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
Visit alpinehomemedical.com.
Copiers, printers, service, and supplies are just the beginning. Les Olson IT is the premier source for your business's structured cabling, IT, software, telephones, and security systems. We partner with you to find the ideal solution to all of your office technology needs. Tell us your goals and we'll get you there. Find out more at lesolson.com.
Les Olson IT.
They never could play it, but they sure can talk about it. Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker on the Full Court Press.
Pick up a set of Trico, Bosch, or Rain-X wiper blades at Napa Auto Parts. They can even help you install it for you right on the spot. Also, stock up with washer fluid from Prime Guard or Peak. Make sure the windshield is nice and clean with those new wipers and that washer fluid. That's Napa Auto Parts. 5 different locations between Preston and Providence. And a reminder about Crystal Vision, 3-time gold medal winner in the Best of Northern Utah contest. Stop in today. You can get your prescription with your prescription and let Crystal Vision fit your glasses to you and your personality. So go check that out at Crystal Vision. High High school basketball. Let's start with this. Ridgeline girls basketball, they've been participating in the Tarkanian Classic. And I'm not exactly sure all the different schools that are there, but apparently they played their way to the championship game against Rigby from Idaho. And the Riverhawks end up winning the game. And as expected, Emily Skinner leads the way. 29 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, 5 blocks in the title game.
Just a spectacular. What was the stat line again? Read it off.
29 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, 5 blocks.
For a second, I was wondering if she was going to have a 5x5.
Yeah,
she missed
almost.
it. She got one of the harder ones, the 5 blocks. But, yeah, just doing what she does best, just impacting the game in about every way conceivable. But obviously, the team as a whole, spectacular. With so many different players contributing in so many different ways. So it's no wonder that they're one of the best, and I would just still argue the best. I don't know if there's a team that's their peer in 4A.
Yeah, the RPI came out earlier this week for 4A. Ridgeline listed as a number 3 team in 4A behind Snow Canyon and Cedar. But stack that Ridgeline team against anybody right now.
Do those update daily? Because the one I'm looking at says they're at. The Ridgeline was at number 2.
I printed this off today, but this must have been.
What does that one?
Day.
What does that one say their record is?
8-2.
Okay, because this one says 9-2. So I wonder if they're updating these
Okay, so they must be updating in real time. So
they haven't done that before. They usually release it once every week. That's why I was confused. Wait, you said 2?
Yeah. So that probably puts them because they were statistically very, very close to Cedar with the RPI ranking, and with that victory, that improves their overall win-loss and winning percentage. So Green Canyon was at number 4. So I'm just going off of what I had. Obviously, you can change and update if necessary.
I could read it off if you want. I got it in front of me
you've got it more updated than I do.
So I mean, your top. I guess Snow Canyon, they're at the top, and they have a decent cushion between them and Ridgeline. Then Cedar at 3. Green Canyon coming in at number 4. They're having a pretty good start to the year at 8-2 as well. Dixie at 5. Skyview, the next Region 11 team, they're at 5-3. Kind of a big gap between that 5 and 6. There's a pretty clear top 5. But really, you think the top 3 teams are all pretty close to each other. Then it's like 4 and 5 are close, and then there's a big gap and it's drop off. So Skyview's sitting there at number 6. Then you have to go a ways before you find the next Region 11 team. Mountain Crest coming in at 15th, Bear River at 20th, and Logan at 24th. I believe that's all the Region 11 teams. That's out of 26 teams that are in this RPI.
Yeah, much more crowded field now with the new realignments. And then for boys basketball, you can tell me if this is any different than what I have. But Green Canyon, the only undefeated team still remaining.
11-0, so they sit at number 1. Just barely ahead of Layton Christian Academy, who's got that better opponents winning percentage, quite a lot better opponents winning percentage than Green Canyon's. But Layton Christian Academy sitting at 8-2. Bear River at number 3, coming in hot with that 9-1 record, really boosting them there. And Logan this one I'm pretty sure is inaccurate because I'm pretty sure they're drawing these numbers from Max Preps, and it is incorrect. It has Logan sitting at 8-1. They're 7-2. So they're sitting at number 5 in this RPI, and that shouldn't be the case. They shouldn't be there. So might need to make a call or two.
Yeah.
Get something fixed. So Logan probably erroneously number 5. They'd probably sit a little bit closer to where Ridgeline and Mountain Crest are. Ridgeline's at 9. Mountain Crest is at 10. And I imagine a 7-2 Logan squad would probably sit maybe just below those two teams. And then I think Skyview is the only other team, right?
Yeah.
They sit at 20th. Again, out of 26 teams, they're at 5-5. So basically you got 5 of your teams that are all probably in, again, depending on what the area is with Logan, you'd probably think at least top 13 or 14. Obviously, several of those teams in the top 3. And Green Canyon at 1, Bear River at 3.
Yeah, I think the Bear River is what probably surprises me the most, how well or how high they are. But, you know, they've got a good record. And last night, they proved that they're a good team. They went and beat Box Elder in Brigham City. So they're a good basketball team.
Yeah, a good team. They're one that, you know, them and Green Canyon. It's funny because you look at the 2 teams that are in the top 3. Those are the teams that we expected to make a big jump, and they have.
Yeah, in a big way. Skyview basketball tonight at Fremont. That game will be joined in progress after the Utah Jazz play the Detroit Pistons. But that'll be here on 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. Hurricane John Newbold at Fremont to call the game. And hope to see it also video streaming on CashValleyDaily.com. There's been some internet issues in the past.
Yeah, I know we had Ridgeline down there earlier, so we'll see.
Our fingers are crossed for Hurricane John.
We're going to try. Wish him luck.
Yes. So we've got Jazz basketball first, then high school basketball after that. And then we'll be back here tomorrow to preview Utah State and East Tennessee State and some final thoughts about Utah State and the bowl game for Saturday.